Good evening, welcome to the live coverage of the brand new series, which is the first ever European series in esports, VISEGRAD 4E Cup, which will connect 4 countries and which was made in the cooperation of federation from Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary and Poland. We are here in Prague in the main offices of ROWE, on which application all the 4 events will be raced, with former Czech cyclist Martin Hačecký. Martin, good evening also too.
Good evening and very warm welcome everyone watching our E-Cup.
We have in the start list riders which focus on different disciplines like cyclocross, track or road, so it will be interesting to watch how they will compare it in the real situation and on the real roads. Also, it's a virtual race.
Well, interesting indeed, because they are coming to this race from very different part of the world, from different age groups. It brings very wide variety of riders, and it will be exciting racing. Also because we are watching this race on very demanding course.
Yeah. So you can follow us on different social networks, and of course the warmest welcome to all of you who are there to compare their strength with the pros, who will be also on the start list today on the very demanding route, which covers some parts of the most famous and oldest monuments in the cycling calendar, Ladvojen, Liège, Bastogne-Liège. And Martin, I can say that you have personal experiences with those roads and with those hills that the riders will tackle today.
Yes, and that's why I'm kind of comfortable on my seat today. I wouldn't want to race with the competitors today. We have 600 people assigned for this route, which is by far the most demanding we have seen in e-racing by far, because we are tackling Col de la Redoute, we are tackling Rosière, also Maquisard, which are the main and famous climbs of Liège, Bastogne-Liège. We are not getting all the way to Liège, but that final kicker might be found like very demanding, because it's a long route and it's 800 meters of elevation gain. It will be a long hour.
So I can remind you that the record on this almost 40 kilometers long road is 58 minutes and 43 seconds. So we will be expecting the better times today from the pro cyclists. We'll be back in a moment. So right now you can watch a closer look on the route that expects for the riders tonight. Probably the most famous symbol of the race, Ladvojen, Liège, Bastogne-Liège, is Col de la Redoute. And Martin, you can confirm that there are parts, ramps, which take us almost 20%.
Overall, it's 180 meters elevation gain on almost 2 kilometers climb. It sounds doable, but once you are climbing that, you realize how tough it can be. It's that climb where Philippe Gilbert holds that KOMs on Strava. It's that climb which everyone needs to tackle if coming to Ardennes. It's the most famous climb there, and this route is, as we said, 40 kilometers of the original Liège-Bastogne-Liège route. It's not only about La Redoute. That's the important part while preparing for that. There are 4 demanding climbs, therefore all the participants are already warming up, because that's very much needed.
After a short break, we'll present you some of the interesting names we can find in the start list of the race 1 of the brand new series VISEGRAD 4E Cup.
Vůz, který byl stvořen pro vás a vaši rodinu. Nová plně elektrická Škoda Enyaq iV.
Riding on the railway platform means there are no boundaries, there are no limits. So we have more than 600 riders from more than 40 different countries worldwide. And also we have some really well-known names from pro ranks, from different age categories, like young juniors riders who took part last year in the World Championships in Belgium. And also we have some riders from other countries that are part of the VISEGRAD 4 treaty. So now we can present you some of the interesting names, and we are starting with one of the Czech riders who is a son of the former really successful and famous road and track rider Milan Kadlec, who gained bronze medal in 2011 in World Championships in Denmark in points race, and his son Milan is last year European champion in junior ranks in points race. So in the same disciplines we have Tomáš Cepka from Slovakia, from another country, who will be participating in this series and who will be organizing the second race, so Grand Prix Slovakia. We have also a rider who is representing Rowe Specialized Cycling Team, Jaromír Skala, who will be also in the start list today and who is combining road cycling with mountain biking. We have also a rider who met in his career a lot of other Czech riders and who was also competing in the top level in the World Series with the team CCC in 2019 season, Pavel Bernas. And of course we have also riders from Hungary, from the fourth country that is part of this series. So Attila Anda from Hungary is also on the start line today. Throughout the race, we will be able to connect online with different riders who will take part in the race one of this series. So now we can say hello to Milan Kadlec. Milan, good evening, and I can ask you, what's your experiences with this kind of virtual races?
Hello. So my experience is not as good because last year I have ridden one race on this etapa, so I don't have experience with this race.
So Milan Kadlec, good luck to you for today's race, and we can connect now with a rider from Slovakia, Tomáš Cepka. Tomáš, good evening also to you, and good luck to you in today's race. I heard you had some serious injuries when you were training on the road. So is this one of the benefits of the virtual racing? There are no threats, there are no danger of injuries?
Hello, everybody from Slovakia. Yes, of course, it's quite difficult and sometimes dangerous on the roads in the traffic, and on the trainer it's of course more safe.
So Tomáš, good luck to you in today's race, and now we can connect with another rider who is with us right here in the main office of Rowe Association here in Prague, Jaromír Skala, who is riding in the colors of Rowe Specialized Team. So, Jaromír, I guess you have a lot of experience with this kind of virtual racing. You know, I'm talking about the jersey you're wearing today.
Yeah, I have a lot of experiences. I've done about 10 races, so I'm looking forward to this. But this year I haven't not done any races on the roadway, so it's for the first time this year.
Sometimes it's said that this kind of virtual races is like TT. Are you good in time trialing?
I don't think so, but on the roadway I'm not so bad.
So good luck to you in today's race.
Thank
and
you.
Now we can have some questions for Pavel Bernas, a rider who met in his career a lot of different Czech riders. So Pavel, good evening also to you. And may I ask you, who of the Czech riders that you rode in your career in the past in Verva Active Jet jerseys or in CCC team was your best friend from Czech riders?
I always like the Czech guys. Even Jirka Polnický, he's still like my good friend. So I was at his wedding. He was at my wedding 3 years before. So yeah, we're still in touch. And yeah, I always find let's say the same humor with the Czech guys. So it's really easy to connect.
Pavel, do you take regularly part in this kind of virtual races? Is it something you really like?
It's hard to say if you like it or not, but I definitely, I can see it's a good part of the preparation for sure. And if you use it wisely for for this booster of the form, it really helps. Also, obviously, it helps when the weather outside is not good. So yeah, I kind of like it. This year, I use it a bit less because of my cross season. But yeah, definitely, I'm let's say not every week, but from time to time, I always log to the virtual reality to do some races or trainings.
And Pavel, my last question: do you have any experiences from your career with Liège-Bastogne-Liège race?
Probably I've done some like parts of the race. I've never done Liège, but yeah, I think the roads nearby in the terrain, I will know maybe because I did Tour of Wallonie, so and some races in Belgium, and yeah, I think that maybe some views will be familiar for me.
Thank you, Pavel, and good luck for today's race. So, Martin, we heard from some of the top names in today's race. It was interesting last year that in Czech E-Cup, in virtual racing, usually, for example, mountain bikers have kind of advantage over the road races because they are used to that, 1 hour effort. Do you think that we can see something similar today?
Absolutely, yeah, indeed. And I believe that they are also in very different time in their preparation. They want to, they need that intensity at this point. But we have just talked with Pavel Bernas, who is coming from the cyclocross season, right? The national championships were happening last weekend. By the way, congratulations to Pavel, since he has bronze medal there, right? So I believe he is on top form. And if there is certain tendency of mountain bikers being stronger than road cyclists, today I'm kind of betting on Pavel.
And now we can go to the country which gave historically the name for the treaty, VISEGRAD, for Attila Anda, who will also take part in today's race. So Attila, good evening also to you. What are your experiences with this kind of virtual races?
Hello everyone. I mean, I'm pretty sure that it will be very different than normal racing, but I like virtual racing because I think you have to experience everything, every side of cycling.
And is it a good part of preparation for the real start of the real season on the road?
Yes, I mean, during the early season, you have to put in some intensity, and this is the perfect way of doing it.
So thank you and good luck for today's race, and we will be back shortly for the real start of today's race after a short break. So we are back for the start of the race one of the brand new series, VISEGRAD 4 E-Cup, which will be raced throughout January, February and March. And there will be also overall classification where 3 best results of each rider will be taken to count, and we will see the overall winner of this series. So I can remind you that today's race tackles some of the famous parts of the most and oldest classics and monuments in the cycling calendar, Liège-Bastogne-Liège. The total length is almost 40 kilometers and total gain in elevation is more than 840 meters. And I can remind you also that the record of this race on the Rove platform is held by Italian rider with nickname Umberto 1910, and his time is 58 minutes and 44 seconds. As we already mentioned, there are more than 600 riders that plan to take part in today's race from 45 countries from all over the world. So we have some riders, for example, from Canada, from Argentina, Bulgaria, Greece, Sweden, India, Indonesia, Iraq, Iceland, Japan. So a very, very interesting start list for today's race.
That's why perhaps that 58 minutes will be targeted today during that race, since most of the riders are obviously from Czech Republic, Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary. But I'm guessing that the riders from outside that old continent will try to make it difficult for everyone, to challenge everyone. We have the highest numbers from these countries, since this is the V series, which is usually held also during July in a pro calendar. That V4 series is not from that top races, It's not World Tour, although it's very important part of that continental racing calendar.
And on the start list, you just saw some other interesting name, like triple Slovakian time trial champion Marek Čanecký, who is also in the start list for today's race. So 39.5 kilometers, and the start is close to the world-known moto circuit in Francorchamps, where was held for the first time in 1931 Grand Prix of Belgium of Formula One. And then later moved to the Zolder, which is also known in the cycling world, 2 times place of the World Championships and also place of the several World Cup in cyclocross season. So we are in the place where it's really cycling one of the national sports in this francophone part of Belgium. As we already mentioned, the riders will tackle 3 of the famous cols that are part of the program of Liège-Bastogne-Liège, called the Rosier, after more than 9 kilometers, called the Maquis Sardes, which is long more than 2 kilometers, and the top is on the 25th kilometer, so it means it will be around 14 kilometers to go, and Col de la Redoute, which is 1.8 long ascent northward to Col de la Redoute, which is top on the 33rd kilometers, and the elevation is more than 165 meters. So we are getting ready to the start. And Martin, we can say what is important. It's not to start pedal on the 6 p.m., but you have to get to the good rhythm, just to warm up before the real start.
Absolutely, that warm-up is very important, but also, as the riders who mentioned that experience with e-racing mentioned, they need to start pedaling a little earlier, right? If you want to attack, start earlier. This is the most important experience they are bringing into this racing. If anyone is new into racing on this platform or any platform, you need to understand that you need to pedal very hard from the very beginning.
On the roadway application, this route has a 5 stars ranking, so it means it's really one of the toughest that you can choose from this app. So we are virtually on the province of Liège, which is interesting that all Grand Tour have started here in this region. Tour de France 13 times, Giro in 2006 and Vuelta a España in 2009. So this is really a kind of mecca of world cycling. And we are starting so close to the Francorchamps circuit, which is southeast from the Spa, and also from this world-known thermal bath town. We will be riding on 17 kilometers, so probably approximately in the middle of the whole race, which is almost 40 kilometers in longitude. So more than 600 riders decided to take part in today's race. And there are 1 minute to go right now, so we're getting ready to start the brand new series, VISEGRAD 4 E-Cup, which will consist of 4 races. In 2 weeks' time, we will bring you the Grand Prix Slovakia, which will be taken in the part of 2020 World Championships that were held in Italy, in Imola, also close to one of the world-known moto circuit. So today's almost 40 kilometers, with a total elevation gain of more than 840 meters. Average gradient is 2%, and maximum is in the first part of Col de la Redoute, which is almost 20%. So last seconds to the start, and we are getting ready to kick off the brand new series, VISEGRAD 4 E-Cup 2022, and the race number 1 Grand Prix Czech Republic, which is raced in some parts of oldest monuments in a cycling calendar in Liège-Bastogne-Liège.
As you could see from the very beginning, both riders who are here in Prague in studio from where we are broadcasting hit the pedals very hard, especially Milan Kadlec. Just like in the previous races, he immediately went into the front because he knows that the start is very important. Obviously, he should not make full effort, so he cannot recover. He needs to recover from this effort because there are still almost an hour on that race. But he knows that the first 3 or 5 minutes are very important in e-racing.
And he's followed by Vojtěch Řepa, rider from Spanish team Equipo Kern Pharma, a bronze medalist in under 23 category in 2020 European Championships in Bretagne. And so these two riders are in the top position right now after the start, which was on the elevation of 450 meters, and we starting in northwestern direction from the circuit in Francorchamps, which is in between towns of Stavelot and Malmedy. So this is the first 100 meters of the race, and you can see on the left Milan Kadlec and Jaromír Skála, who are right here in the studio in the offices of Rovi application.
The start is very important since the riders can draft a lot, which is one of the new features of Rovi application, that you can use the drafting also in the downhills. But still, the riders who want to compete for the win, they really need to push the pedals hard from the very beginning. And the warm-up was important also because we are coming very close to the first climb of the route, which is not the steepest, but very long. La Redoute is well known in Liège-Bastogne-Liège as one of the longest climbs, which is on the route. It usually opens the battle for the win, and we can say that today won't be any different.
Yeah, and the first real climb begins after 5 kilometers, Col de Rosier, which is the longest one in the itinerary of Liège-Bastogne-Liège race, which is almost 4.5 kilometers long at average gradient of almost 6%. And for example, last year, the first rider who was on the top as the first was Tomáš Marčinský, Polish rider from team Lotto Soudal. But on Liège-Bastogne-Liège, this climb is after 197 kilometers. So completely different situation than today, which is on the first 10 kilometers of the race.
Yeah, it's still a good opportunity to still talk about that race and that route. But also, it might be kind of confusing that we are racing Grand Prix of Czech Republic on Belgian roads. This is because this is one of the most famous rides and routes. We want to bring, or Rovi wants to bring the real places into racing, which is very interesting about the Rovi app, about Rovi riding, that you are really recognizing the real places. We have mentioned Francorchamps. It's a mecca for cycling, and Slovakian riders, but also viewers probably remember that Tour de France stage in 2017 when Peter Sagan won the race from Francorchamps.
So in the next races, we will see riders tackling the circuit from the World Championships 2020 in Imola, the last ITT from last year, Tour de France in Laval, or one of the peaks in Pyrenees that is part of so-called circuit of death, Col de Bisque, which will be the last Grand Prix of Hungary on March 8th, which will conclude the whole series. I can remind again that the best 3 results for each rider will be taken to the count, and the rider who will win each of the race will gain 1,000 points to the total classification. And also there are different age categories which will be taken to the whole classification: men plus under 23, junior, women plus junior, and also hobby riders. And we are also again a warm welcome to all of you who took part, not only watching our coverage but also comparing your strength on the bike with the pro cyclist. Thank you.
The age groups are also very interesting because we see riders from like born 2004, for example, who are participating and also already being at the very top, which also means that there is certain kind of new generation coming into cycling, which is nice. But also we have riders from like older ages, let's say masters category, who are still taking a good part. That overall classification will be probably tackled by most of the riders who are participating today, but some might not be able to, since there are training camps, there are new races. We had a chance to talk with Pavel Bernas, who will be leaving for Spain to participate in his new calendar, which will be composed of mountain bike races mostly. So he might not be able to join all the races, but still he will want to compete for the win, I guess.
So we are still in the beginning of the race 1 of the brand new series VISEGRAD for E-Cup, and we'll be back in a short while after commercial break.
Soustřeďte se jen na svůj výkon. My se postaráme o pohodlí v sedle. Kalas Sportswear, český výrobce cyklistického oblečení. Sponzor pořadu.
We are back. The riders tackled more than 5 kilometers in the race one of brand new series VISEGRAD 4 E-Cup in cycling. My name is Tomáš Šílek and I'm here with Martin Hačecký, and we're following the first race of this new series. And right now the riders will start to tackle the first ascent of this route, which is called the Rosier, which is more than 4.4 kilometers long at average gradient 5.9%. We get to the Domaine de Berinzen, and maximum height of this race and of this call is 578 meters, while first 5 kilometers was more about descending to the Moulin de Ruy to the height of 305 meters, where you can, for example, attend the December 44 museum, which reminds you of the last German association and last German attack in the World War II in December 1944.
Yeah, there are other monuments on the route, like on La Redoute, where we will get shortly. Well, we need to first climb that La Rosière, which is this beautiful climb covered in alpine forest. It's beautiful on the road, and you can get ready for a social ride, or let's say sportif, which is happening on these roads too. Liège-Bastogne-Liège is not only pro race, but also you can participate in that amateur version, which is one another great thing about racing in virtual reality, that you can recognize the places, you can kind of get ready for what you are about to tackle. And we have already been mentioning how important part that e-racing, but most importantly, riding on home trainer is for preparation for the season. It's very much about specificity, about training for your strengths and weaknesses in a way which is super efficient on the home training. You can really measure your effort very well. So for this reason, there are so many riders riding on that virtual platforms recently. It's not only about pandemic.
On the left bottom picture, you can watch in the Czech national jersey Milan Kadlec, son of the former very successful road and track rider. Milan Kadlec took part in last year Junior World Championships in Belgium, and he finished in a 35th position, and he was in a day breakaway. So we can watch him quite, often in the pictures from those World Championships. And right now he's in the top 7 group, top 7 position, but in the first place we have Mariusz Krzewski from Poland, who has an advantage of almost 400 meters on Jiří Petr and Štěpán Hrdina, Czech riders who are followed by Wojciech Řepa, Jaromír Skála and Simon Hahnenbruch from Germany. So those are riders in the top 7 positions.
This is a significant advantage Mariusz is just now getting, so let's see if he can hold to this pace, because it seems like all the Czech riders who are forming a group and trying to work together might have pretty tough job to get him back to the group. They certainly can cooperate on this virtual platform using that drafting technique, so they can kind of change, although it's not as simple as on the road. They still can use each other, let's say. So let's hope that the younger generation with Wojta Řepa and Milan Kadlec can kind of work together now.
And drafting that you mentioned is one of the aspects that, is quite typical, how improving are all those, application for virtual racing.
I guess that everyone who was riding on Ruby 2 years ago or 1 year ago, they can already see that great progress in development, in that IT development, which is happening, and like even that feature on descending that you can really keep moving although you are not pedaling. This is very new to racing on virtual platforms or riding virtual platforms, and it's another way how to make that experience very much just like on the road.
Mariusz Cieski in the first position still has about 1.7 kilometers to the top of the first col, Col de Rosiers, which is 30 kilometers to go in today's race, which is almost 40 kilometers long. And other riders who, in the last editions of Liège-Bastogne-Liège, takes first position on this hill, apart from Tomáš Marcinský, well, riders like Michael Scher or Tanel Kangert or Thiago Machado or Nicolas Edet, who were first on the top in the previous editions of Ladvajen Liège-Bastogne-Liège. And we can also mention that Col de Rosiers is south to the Spa and also to the city of Verviers, which is the birthplace of Philippe Gilbert, winner of Liège-Bastogne-Liège in 2011. On the season when he managed to win all 3 Ardennes Classic in 1 week, the feat that were previously again only by one other rider, which was Davide Rebellini.
And you have just mentioned that it was a Polish win on the top of Rosiers last time. It seems like we are getting very close to another Polish win there. Mariusz Cieski is really pushing pedals hard. He has almost 500 meters of advantage to the competitors, but also looking at his power output, it's absolutely incredible. There are like 6.5 watts per kilo currently on that climb. So there is some real power in this competitor.
And that's why it's really important to make sure that you, to the system, get with the right weight, numbers, which is important for the real outcome of the race.
But it seems like everyone else is getting or staying together and forming a nice group. There could be a nice battle for all the other places. We can see also that Slovakian national jerseys, which brings me back to our Slovakian participants. We could have seen Tomáš Cepka on the screen, but now we are watching Anda Attila, our Hungarian racer. Hungary will become a very important place in cycling world this year. Very shortly we will be coming back to Budapest for a Grande Partenza of Giro Italia. Yeah,
and after last year and great performances of Hungarian riders, not only on the roads but also, for example, in cyclocross, this is another reward for this country, which is really improving in the strength of their cyclists throughout the world. So we are getting closer to the top of the first mountain or first ascent of this almost 40 kilometers long route, which is Col de Rosiers, which will be on the 9.2 kilometers from the start, 30 kilometers to go. And we can also again watch the 2 riders that are tackling this route right here in the office of Railway in Prague. So we saw Milan Kadlec Jr. and also Jaromír Skala in the colors of Railway Specialized Cycling Team.
And they are staying pretty much together, although that climb to Rosiers...
And getting closer to the leader. So right now we have Jiří Petr and Jaromír Skala in the top positions.
Yeah, that means that Czech colors are now battling for the win, but already we see a few Slovakian flags and also Polish flags coming back to the game for the win. There are so many riders from so many different places all over the world, also where riders are in the middle of the night, like Japan, for example, South Korea. It's pretty incredible how much we can connect people from around the world in the same time.
So we are on the top of the first ascent of this race, Col de Rosiers, which is a traditional part of the Liège-Bastogne-Liège, the oldest monument in the cycling calendar. And after a short break, we will be back and we will be watching right now very tight contest in the first race of brand new series VISEGRAD 4E Cup.
byl stvořen pro vás a vaši rodinu. Nová plně elektrická Škoda Enyaq iV.
Welcome back. We are following race one of the brand new series VISEGRAD 4 E-Cup in cycling, which is Grand Prix of Czech Republic, which is tackled on the routes and some parts of the oldest cycling monument in calendar, Liège-Bastogne-Liège. And right now we are after the first tough moment of this race, climbing to the Col de Rosiers.
Then after that climb to Col de Rosiers, we have pretty long descent to the next challenge, which will be called the Maquisard. The countryside changes completely. This is the top of Rosiers, by the way, where Liège-Bastogne-Liège might be decided in some races, or that's where all the battle for the win actually usually starts. That's a very long climb, one of the longest on the route, but also longest in terms of Belgian countryside. Like, you don't really get much longer climbs in Belgium overall, or in all Ardennes Classic. Now we have that descent. Now we could see that Pavel Bernas is coming back to the draft, which will certainly help him to save some energy for the next part of the race. We have been mentioning how important it is to start wisely, not to burn everything you have, but and to save for the very final. But these descents, this is the key: how to store your energy, how to keep your energy, so you can use it later.
Yeah, and we can see how Pavel Bernas tried to bridge the gap to the first group. He's now in the top 7 riders of the race. So, Pavel, maybe we can ask you how difficult, how tough was the first climb of today's race for you?
Yeah, it was tougher than I thought, obviously, like most of the climbs in cycling. But yeah, I pretty much screwed up on the very top. So that's why I have to chase, like, won't say the word, but that wasn't the smartest move to let them go 50 meters on top of the climb.
So did you manage during the ascent to cooperate with other riders to use some kind of drafting or to save some energy?
I'm just about to do it. Like 20 more meters and I'm there.
Okay, good luck, Pavel. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are in the descent from the first really tough climb, Col de Rosiers, almost 10 kilometers downhill to the Spa, world-known thermal bath city in province of Liège, under the Ardennes. There are more than 10,000 inhabitants in this town, who was also well known as the ancient Roman village Aqua Spadane, which gave the name to the city, or in French, La Ville de l'Eau. So then we get to the height of 2,027 meters, so we can compare it with the height of the Col de Rosiers, which is more than 300 meters lower than the first ascent of today's race.
So now riders will be tackling that second main challenge on the climb, which is called the Maquisard. Not that well known, but still very tough. It's much steeper compared to Rosiers, but also shorter. So there, the drafting technique, which we were just talking about, won't work that much. Where it really is useful is at this point, once riders are descending or kind of trying to cooperate on the flatter sections of the road. And we are seeing also Marek Čanecký, who is trying to get back to the group since he was dropped on that climb, but he's coming back, trying to use that drafting technique to keep him still in the battle for the win. Just a reminder, Marek Čanecký is one of the, let's say, most Yeah, well-known racers from Slovakia. Certainly now we can actually see him. Marek was part of Dukla Banská Bystrica most of his career, but also he was racing in Switzerland and also in Austria. By the way, he was part of the team, Slovakian national team, which brought the rainbow jersey from Bergen, from Norway.
And we already mentioned that Marek Čanecký is triple Slovakian national champion in time trialing. So Marek, maybe we can ask you how useful it is to be good time trialist for this kind of virtual races.
Yes, it's my first races like that, and it's not easy, but I think it's very intervals and make really good training during the winter for summer PT races or also road races.
So thank you, Marek, and good luck for today's race. And we also see from these pictures one of the specific aspects of these races. You know, you're riding in indoor, you're sweating, there are no natural wind bounds, so this is very difficult for the riders, the sweating.
Absolutely, yeah, and I wouldn't want to receive a question from you while riding, so hats off to everyone who is able to even say any word. But obviously every rider is ventilating a lot in that room. It's one of the most important aspects of riding indoors. They need ventilators, they need open windows. That fresh air is absolutely very much important, because once the body temperature rises just by like half of the Celsius, then the body temperature means that you don't get that much blood into your muscles, meaning that your performance drops like 10 to 15%. So certainly the ventilation is a very important part of riding indoors.
European junior champion from last year in points rates in championships on track in velodrome. Milan Kadlec is still holding place in the top 10. So Milan Kadlec, how do you like this kind of route in Ardennes with short, steep climbs?
Yeah, it's a little bit possible because I'm for long climbs, not short, so I don't have so much power to short climbs.
Yeah. So we can understand that you are really tired, so you know it's very demanding route that will take part in the first race of this new series. So right now in the first position is Lukáš Vranák from Slovakia, from team CK Ipik Dohňany, who is followed by Vojtěch Řepa and Jaromír Skála, and the best riders are approaching Spa, this world-known thermal city, which was, for example, the start of the first ever edition of Liège-Bastogne-Liège in 1892, and 3 times Tour de France stage town Rudy Altig, Bernard Hinault, and Sylvain Chavanel won stages of Tour de France right here in Spa. The last one was in 2012 from Brussels. And we can also talk with Vojtěch Řepa today for today's race. So Vojtěch, good evening also to you. We already told that you have really serious, health issues in the last season. So how are you feeling right now? Not only in this race, but in this part of the season.
Hello to everyone. Now it's better because it's descending. But I had some problems during the season, pretty serious problems. But I hope that now is everything okay, and in 2 days I'm going to Calpe for training camp, so I'm totally looking forward. And why I'm here is that my last race was in June and I lost total my intensity, so I believe that thanks to these races I can take it back.
Is this kind of terrain that you like, Ardennes Hills, Ardennes Classics?
Maybe, yeah, because I think that I went by race there, so it's pretty nice for me because I'm from Velká Bitež, so Vysočina, and there is a lot of short climbs, so all the time you need to push, and it suits to me.
Thank you, Vojtěch, and good luck for the rest of today's race. which is now led by Lukáš Vranák, Slovakian rider, who has advantage of just few meters right on Wojciech Řepa, and German rider Simon Hanenbruch, who is in the third position, followed by Jiří Petr, Jaromír Skála, Luke, Czech rider, and Pavel Bernas, who is in seventh position, followed by the rider from France, Raf.
What is important is the distances in between those riders. There is no real distance. They are basically forming a group which is still staying together. That means that while we are approaching the second part of the race, the race is still open. It's not decided. Everyone is coming back. So even Pavel is now back to the group. The number of competitors battling for the win is still pretty high.
We already talked with Jaromír Skála, who is riding right here in the offices of Rowe. So we can ask him, did you give everything to the first hill, or did you save some energy for the rest of the race?
The first climb was pretty tough, but now the downhill, in the downhill I take some rest, and I am ready for the second climb of the day.
Are you using some advantages, for example, while riding in the group in this kind of virtual races? Are there any advantages?
I tried it, but it's pretty hard to use this advantage. You have to have ability for it, and it's pretty tough.
Thank you, Jaromír. Good luck.
I believe that Jaromír mentions the most important experience with e-racing. If you are battling for the win, that drafting technique, that's very much important. Not everyone can do it, not myself. I cannot really draft in that e-racing yet. It's very specific skill. While you are getting more and more experience with these races, you will get kind of used to it, and then you can really battle for the win.
And we can ask also Tomáš Cepka, Slovakian rider, how are you feeling after the first tough climb on the route?
Yeah, it's very interesting. From beginning it was quite hard, but I was just watching my watch, and now I'm in perfect group, and I'm just observing the green number of drafting, and it's perfect.
How are you trying to stay cool in indoor position?
I didn't understand you.
Do you have some ventilators or something like that in your flat?
Sorry, audio is
How are you
bad.
trying to stay cool, riding indoors? It's quite difficult.
Okay, I just opened the window, and I have a fan, and very important is the support of my fans as well.
Okay, thank you. And we believe that with the support of your friends, you gain some interesting results in today's first race of brand new series, VISEGRAD 4 E-Cup in cycling.
If you are unaware, Tomáš Cepka is one of the Slovakian journalists writing about cycling a lot, and basically he is producing kind of an alternative to Global Cycling Network videos, if we can call it this way, basically bringing new people into cycling, bringing new cycling content to viewers.
So we are in, let's say, middle of today's race. The best riders have more than 28 minutes in their legs, and we'll be back after the short break.
Soustřeďte se jen na svůj výkon. My se postaráme o pohodlí v sedle. Kalas Sportswear, český výrobce cyklistického oblečení. Sponzor pořadu.
The best riders in the race one of the brand new series VISEGRAD 4 E-Cup have covered more than 20 kilometers, so they are in the second half of today's race, which is almost 40 kilometers long and which takes some of the famous calls, some famous hills from the oldest monument in a cycling calendar, Liège-Bastogne-Liège, that was first race in 1892. So today we have the middle part of this race with 3 hills, Col de Rossier, Col de Maquisard, and Col de la Redoute. And in a short time we have the official split of today's race. Jiří Petr in the first position with a time of something more than 30 minutes. So we'll be on this point very shortly. And we have some comparison of times of different riders in this race.
In the battle for the win, we have about 7 riders still forming the first group with Jiří Petr leading that group. This rider today is actually more a runner who basically brings us to the pretty important feature Ruve is bringing, that they are bringing new running courses to the viewers. So that kind of widens the spectrum of users of this application. And again, it's in the let's say real world.
So from the 4 countries that are part of the VISEGRAD series, we have riders from 3, from Czech Republic, from Slovakia, and also from Poland. Pavel Bernas is still on the 7th position. He's following Lukáš Vranák, a Slovakian rider. And we have also a rider from Germany in top 4, Simon Hannenbruch from cycling team Rhein-Main, who is still in the top group. He's trailing only about 40 meters to the first position of Jaromír Skala in the jersey of Rowe specialized cycling team. So we are in the second half of today's race. Riders get through Spa, was in the 17 kilometers of today's itinerary, and after the short descent to the Théo Larrey, which is on the 23rd kilometer, there will be short ascent, but quite steep, to the Col de Maquisard, 2.5 kilometers long, at average of 5% in western direction.
And it seems like Jaromír Skala is taking the lead, our Ruve rider here in our studio in Prague. And it's quite significant lead, considering we are on the climb and the group is splitting again. He has about 20 meters of a lead, although currently it seems like he's losing that lead again. And Vojta Řepa was able to react to this attack and coming back to the group.
So after 22 kilometers of racing, Jaromír Skala from Rowe specialized cycling team on the top position, but in the same group with him is Jiří Petr and Vojtěch Řepa, followed by Lukáš Vranák, who was trailing 3.6 seconds in the split time, and with Simon Hannenbruch, Luke, Czech rider from team Vinohradské Šlapky, and by Pavel Bernas, Polish rider who has also experiences riding for the World Tour team CCC in 2019 season, along, for example, with multiple Czech champion in time trial Josef Černý. Other riders are trailing more than 40 seconds, like Martin Hrtánek from Slovakian team Ipik Dohňany, Karol Sousek or Štěpán Hrdina, two Czech riders, and Milan Kadlec right now is in 12th position, European Junior Championships in track cycling in points race last year in Dutch Apeldoorn.
It's nice probably for him to mention that his performance might not last for a win, since all the Czech national team, the team he's racing for, Dukla Prague, is just coming back from 1 week of training camp in the mountains. So he was just running on the cross-country skis rather than riding. So that might kind of limit his performance today.
So we are getting closer to the small town of Théo Larrey, which is on the 23rd kilometers of today's itinerary, and then will be followed by second ascent of today's race to the Col de Maquisard, which is on the 25th kilometers of the whole race. And we are again watching Jaromír Skala. Jaromír, we are now in the, let's say, middle part of today's race, so are you saving energy for the forthcoming uphills and climbs?
Yeah, I'm saving the energy. I tried it as best as I can. Let's see what the next time will bring.
Did you already ride this race on the Rowe application? I mean, this race in Ardennes Classics?
No, it's first time for me.
Yeah, so good luck, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we mentioned already, this is one of the toughest challenges we have seen in e-racing so far. Again, it's 800 meters of elevation gain over the 40 kilometers. It's very decent even on open roads, and on the home trainers it feels even worse, let's say.
And as we mentioned, this new series is called VISEGRAD for E-Cup. I think that the fans of cycling are aware that there are a series of real road races throughout the last seasons in Czech Republic, Slovakia, Poland, in Hungary, with really good start lists. And we are getting back to Wojciech Řepa, who was in the split time in the top group. There was time of the best riders, about 32 minutes. So Wojta Řepa was in the third position, but in the same group as other riders in the top position, so Jiří Petr and Jaromír Skala. So Wojciech, we already mentioned that you had a really long racing break after those problems with face muscles. So how are you feeling right now? Did you get to the racing mode immediately after the start?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not, but I need to be patient because I didn't have races for now. I think in 2 days it will be 6 months from the start of paralysis. So it's a really long time, and yeah, the performance is still not so good.
So we hope it will be improving. Thank you, Wojciech.
Hey, it's worth mentioning that Wojta is one of our medalists from European Championships in Plue, right, in under-23s category, one of the most prolific talents of Czech cycling currently, racing for the pro-continental team, or second division team, how we call it now, Equipo Kern. They are mostly Spanish riders. That's why Wojta is traveling to Spain for training camp. Many riders will be probably who are just currently racing here on home trainers, but obviously they need to get that training miles into their legs in the upcoming weeks too.
Yeah, and we can say that those mentioned European Championships in 2020 were really successful for a Czech team with 3 medals. Matthias Vacek winning junior time trial and Pavel Bittner getting a silver medal in the sprint in men junior road race. So Wojciech Řepa was one of the 3 Czech medalists on those World Championships in Bretagne in 2020. And now we can again watch 2 riders that are tackling today's race right here in Prague in Rowe offices. So on the left, in the jersey of Czech national team, Milan Kadlec, last year bronze medalist and also gold medalist from European Championships in junior categories in Apeldoorn, and also Jaromír Skala, who is one of the best still in the leading group.
Although they are riding next to each other, they are not in the same group currently. Milan is a little bit losing his time on Jaromír. That doesn't mean he cannot get back on the next downhill section, although that group is still compact, especially because there are strong riders, including fresh from bronze on national championships in cyclocross, Pavel Bernas. By the way, Pavel has also the Vuelta a España legs, endurance in his legs, since he participated in this major bike race in 2019 with his World Tour team. So he has probably the most wide experience with bike racing outdoors, but also indoors. He was participating on World Championships in e-racing, so he knows how to ride on home trainer very well.
On the left bottom picture, we can again watch Pavel Bernas, 9th last year in the Polish national championships that were won by Maciej Paterski. Pavel, may I ask you, is the virtual races your regular part of your off-season, or do you also try different other sports before the real season starts?
I get back to skiing, like alpine skiing. I was first time since 9 years, so that was great fun. I'm looking forward to go like maybe 1 or 2 times before I will leave to Spain later this month. And yeah, normally I would also play tennis, probably some futsal, but this year I fully focused on regaining all the health after my broken collarbone. So yeah, I put the full focus on working with the physio and doing all the gym training to get back to shape with my right hand.
Pavel, what's the actual temperature in your flat? Do you have any cooling systems to not be too overheated?
Yeah, I got this little fan in here, which makes the air also a bit cleaner. But I have to say, with this kind of racing, you really need a big fan. So for the next VISEGRAD race, I will definitely have like a proper big indoor cycling fan.
Thanks, Pavel. Thanks.
Thank you.
It's also probably worth mentioning that Pavel is now coming into mountain bike racing world, since he will be participating in Costa Blanca bike race on mountain bike, also staying in Spain for other races in Mediterranean. So the mountain bike calendar is approaching very quickly, very fast, as is that road cycling. But most of the participants we are seeing now on the screen are still riders from that continental teams. They might start little later in the season. They still have time to get their shape into their legs.
So we are in the second third of today's race, and after the short break we'll be back and we'll be watching the battle for the win in the first race of brand new series VISEGRAD 4E Cup in cycling.
Vůz, který byl stvořen pro vás a vaši rodinu. Nová plně elektrická Škoda Enyaq iV.
You are watching live coverage of race 1 of brand new series in virtual cycling on platform of Rovi Grand Prix Czech Republic, which is raced on the parts of the famous hills in Ardennes Classics of Liège-Bastogne-Liège, the oldest monument in cycling calendar. And we are now in touch with former 3 times Czech national champion in time trial, František Ramoň. František, good evening. František, I heard that while you're racing on the trainer, you're not watching cycling, but some other sports. Is it true?
Yeah, it is true because, you know, Thomas, I'm old school. When I was racing, we couldn't use these e-cycling platforms like Rovi, for example. So we either listen to some music or, yeah, it's right. I'm from Czech Republic, so I used to watch ice hockey or football on my computer while I was practicing on the turbo trainer at home.
And rooting for the team from Plzeň, I guess.
Exactly, and listening to your comments.
Thank you. So right now you must listen to our comments during our cycling event. You are a marketing manager of Kalash Sportswear, who is providing clothing for Czech national team, British national team, and also for one of the most successful teams from the last season. And I'm talking about Alpecin Phoenix team and about a project called Merci Pupu, those retro jerseys that were used in the first stage of last year Tour de France. So what was the overall impact of all these actions?
Yeah, indeed, it was a big thing, and the impact on whole cycling, I think it was incredible. I think every cycling fan was very touched by the gesture of the team, and especially Mathieu van der Poel, and of course his granddad Raymond Poulidor. And yeah, Tomáš, you are right that long after the Tour de France, when the jerseys were sold and Alpecin Phoenix team announced that 50,000 euros were raised, and they were now located at the cycling academies in Benelux and in France. So all this money go to the youth cycling, as you know, Alpecin Phoenix, Mathieu van der Poel, and Raymond Poulidor wanted that. This was a project to support the cycling from the very grassroots. And so hopefully in some time, these money, can help to develop a new generation of the riders.
And I guess this is the best results of these whole, actions. And today we are racing in Ardennes. František, what are your personal experiences with races like Flèche Wallonne or Liège-Bastogne-Liège from your career?
Guys, I'm watching you now for 20 minutes. I'm watching the live coverage. So well done to both of you for the commentating. And yeah, it flashes in the memory because I have done twice the Liège-Bastogne-Liège. So I'm enjoying the comments from Martin, who knows all of the climbs. And of course, I was suffering these climbs as well some time ago. And so it's nice. Of course, the Rowe platform is very, very unique because, as far as I'm aware, is the only platform where you can race and you can ride while you're staying at home a little bit outside, at least visually. So yeah, as I said, I'm enjoying watching the race, and yeah, it's fresh in the memory while I was racing in those roads.
And after the career, you're working for a clothing company. Is it a big challenge for any company that are preparing and submitting dresses for cyclists to make a jersey that will be useful for these, strange condition, indoor cycling, very sweaty conditions?
Yeah, it's very challenging. It's very demanding, and also, each rider feels different on those conditions. As I said, I watch the live coverage today and I listen to the riders, and everybody's approach is a little different. So we as a Color Sports, we obviously also develop cycling clothes for indoors. And we see the challenges of, each rider wanting something else. So hopefully very soon we will come up with something special.
Thank you, František, for your time, and bye-bye.
Enjoy, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you.
So we are getting back to the action and to the actual informations about the first race of today's new series, of this year's new series, VISEGRAD 4 E-Cup, which is raced on some famous parts of the oldest monuments, Liège-Bastogne-Liège.
Jaromír Skála is still leading, who is still here in our Prague office. He didn't go anywhere. He's still riding, and we will not be able to talk to him now because he is climbing one of the most famous climbs on this route, right? La Redoute, that's the climb you really need to go to if you are in Belgium, if you are in Ardennes. That's the climb which is super steep in the very beginning. Then the final, once you turn left, it's kind of flatter, and there you can use that drafting technique again. But this is where Jaromír is now approaching. He's still, let's say, in the beginning of that climb, the steepest part, which gets to 19, even 20% according to some sources. So Jaromír is still leading, but Vojta Řepa is not too far behind him. And also we have German rider Simon Hahnenbruch also very close for the win. By the way, Simon is the one who won that overall general classification of La Vuelta Challenge, which was the 10 stages race here on Roubaix platform.
So in the last editions of Liège-Bastogne-Liège, it was usually Belgian riders who were first on the top. Last year, Laurens Huys, Dries de Venins in 2020, or Jérôme Bounier in 2018 in the colors of Vanty Gobert. There are also other interesting and well-known names who were first on the top of this climb during the Liège-Bastogne-Liège, like Tanel Kanger, Anthony Perez, Nicolas Edet, or Joan Esteban Chavez, Colombian climber, who was first on the top in 2015 edition of this race. And cycling fans know that this is the place of the Battle of Sprimont that took part in September of 1794, and victory of French Republican forces over Habsburg army, which occupied this territory in the previous years. So for the Belgium history, really important place.
And usually in that Liège-Bastogne-Liège race, you don't really get to see that monument because there are crowds along the route. But today we will be able to, since this was obviously recorded when there is no traffic, right? In early morning, I guess, that's when it needs to be recorded and then transferred into that augmented reality, so we can see the riders on the road from behind. But here we can also see Tomáš Cepka suffering on that climb, but keep on going, he will be almost there.
Yeah, the last couple of meters are about 6.5% elevation. So there will be still more than 6 kilometers from the top to the finish of today's race, which is in Sprimont. And the last 700 meters of today's route is slowly descending to the finish, to the actual finish in Sprimont.
After that one last climb, which is also usually included in the Liège-Bastogne-Liège, although today we will stay on the main road, which leads north, but there is that climb, the final climb usually of this route should have been on the parallel road, a little narrower and a little steeper in the beginning. It's nice from the Ruby guys that they recorded that main climb, which is not that steep anymore, and that final, that 600 meters will be in the descent, but it's not real descent. They will be really pedaling hard all the way to the end, especially because the differences in between riders are still not huge. We are still battling for the win, although Jaromír Skála, Vojta Řepa, and Jiří Petr are getting a little bit of an advantage over Simon Annenbruch, and then we have another 2-3 riders riding close to each other. It's not like forming group where they kind of cooperating. So it's almost certain that we are going to see the winner from Jaromír Skála, Vojta Řepa, or Jiří Petr.
We are more than 52 minutes into the race, and the front group is getting closer to the top of the last really demanding ascent to the Col de la Redoute, to the height of 316 meters. And as we mentioned, the first 2 kilometers were about 9%, with first kilometers about 8%, and then next 500 meters more than 13% of elevation gain. So we, again, watching the front group, and Jaromír Skála is still part of the front group. So Jaromír, do you have any power to take us through your emotions right now, and how are you feeling right now before the last 6 kilometers of the race?
I'm suffering. The climb before was so steep, so I have to push my pedal so hard, and I hope that my opponent has no energy also.
So good luck for the finish. Maybe we see some sprint between you and other riders in the front group. Now we are descending from the Col de la Redoute to the last kilometers of today's race.
Jaromír is used to that steep climbing from his mountain bike races, right? So he should know what it means to climb 19%. It's also nice that the platform regulates your performance on the home trainer. That's super nice about racing indoors. But we will be obviously racing outdoors too. All these riders will be participating in the VISEGRAD 4 event, which is happening parallelly to Tour de France. There are 4 races outdoors, obviously, in Czech Republic, Slovakia, Poland, and Hungary. And what's interesting that even today we have riders who already won these races in the past, especially Pavel Bernas, who won 3 editions. Also, Marek Čanecký won 1 edition in Hungary, where we will close all the e-season, all the e-race season.
We are getting back to the Vojtěch Řepa, who is part of the leading group. So Vojtěch, Col de la Redoute is one of the most well-known ascents in the world of cycling in spring classics. So how was it to ride this climb on the trainer?
Really hard, because I'm surprised these smart trainers are extremely good, and when we are going 19% of the climb, I'm standing. The trainer is like, I don't know, just really hard. But yeah, I enjoy.
Yeah, thank you. So really, the situation is quite tough, and even in the first positions of today's race, between Vojtěch Řepa, Jaromír Skála, and also some other riders who are in the top position, also the German rider Simon Hahnenbruch. So we have quite a lot of riders who can dream about winning today's race.
But still more and more likely it seems that we have 3 riders battling for the win in Sprimont or a little further north from Sprimont. Now the riders are tackling the final climb, or will be tackling. Now they are descending to Sprimont, and there will be one last climb which is about 1 kilometer long. Now we can see it fantastically on the screen. Riders are now descending to Sprimont. That's where you see that green parts of the profile. That's where you can kind of recover, get that drafting back, and then the last, let's say, orange color. That means that's where the climb. That's about 6 to 7% in average over that 1 kilometer.
Right now, in the 8th position is former rider of World Tour team CCC, Pavel Bernas. Pavel, may I ask you how difficult it was to tackle the Col de la Redoute on trainer?
It's not getting easier, I can tell you. With all the lactate in the legs and all the mistakes I've done on the previous descents, and yeah, so it's kind of hard. But I also feel the legs from Sunday's nationals. But yeah, what can you do? You just have to suffer for 4 kilometers more. I think I can take it.
Pavel, can you describe which was tougher, to win those 2 races in 2014 in VISEGRAD 4 or this race on the home trainer?
Hard to say. One of the VISEGRAD races I won, 2015 Czech Grand Prix. That was the toughest one because I already had the cramps and I was just thinking to help the other guys from the team to get the result. So I guess that's why I won, because I was just not thinking about it. I followed the right attack in the last kilometer, and suddenly I was first in the finish line. But that was some of an effort there. And here it's tough, but it's 1 hour, so I can't take my body to the level of the long road race. But still, it's a lot of job to do here.
Thanks, Pavel. We are getting to the last 2 kilometers of today's race, so to the last kilometers of the race, following some of the parts of the oldest monument in the world of cycling, which was raced last year for the 107th editions. And of course, Eddy Merckx is the record holder with 5 wins in this monument, Ladvajan, so the oldest one. And we are getting to the last 2 kilometers of today's race, and it will be a really tough battle between Vojtěch Řepa, Jakub Petr, and Jakub Skála, who are in the top 3 positions right now.
So although Vojtěch Řepa told us that he's not really ready for this intensity, it seems like he will be the one battling for the win. He has 6 meters advantage to the final kilometer, so that gives him certain advantage, but the drafting still works here, and Jaromír Skála knows that very well, so he wants to come back.
We can see on the top left picture Jaromír Skála in the jersey of Rowe Specialized team, who is racing right here in the offices of Rowe in Prague, and who is battling for the win in the first race. 1.2 kilometers to go in today's opening race of a new series of 4 races called VISEGRAD 4 E-Cup.
And Jaromír is not even keeping the cadence because he's pushing almost 8 watts per kilo at this point. He's really pushing pedals as hard as he can. So is Vojtěch Řepa. They are really digging deep now.
Yeah, and the last 700 meters will be slightly descending to the finish of today's almost 40 kilometers long race. So the battle between Vojtěch Řepa on the bottom left picture and Jaromír Skála for the win in the first race of this year VISEGRAD 4 E-Cup.
Skala wants to come back to the draft, but he cannot manage to bridge that 27 meters he currently has. He cannot come closer to Vojta, and it seems like Vojta Řepa is getting the win. It's more and more likely since he's gaining meters.
So Vojtěch Řepa, who last raced in the real races last year. So we'll see how this outcome of today's race will be. His last race for national championships on 20th June of 2021. So after the long break and after some health issues, he's back in this virtual series and battling for the win in the first race.
And he is keeping the power very high. It's still over 5 watts per kilo, which is faster than Jaromír is able to push at this point. And Vojta is gaining time, gaining meters. Vojta is getting for the win.
Last 500 meters for Vojtěch Řepa, who is in the final straight. And he's followed by Jaromír Skala, but he's trailing more than 80 meters.
It really seems like Vojta Řepa broke him. There was great battle, about 1 kilometer to go. They were still together, but Vojta Řepa was able to push that pedals a little harder. He gained few meters and he's not giving this race back.
Yeah, and his advantage is almost 100 meters, and Vojtěch Řepa is getting to the final straight, and he's the winner of the first race of new series VISEGRAD 4E Cup. In the second position is Jaromír Skala from the Rovis Specialized team. So it was really nice battle in the last 100 meters. And other riders are getting to the finish. So Vojtěch Řepa in the first position. So congratulations, Vojtěch. It was a really long break after last year national championships in June. So a really nice comeback to the racing, although it's only virtual racing.
Thank you very much. Well, it was hard.
Were you aware of your advantage that you had on other riders in last, for example, 1 or 2 kilometers of the race? So Vojtěch Řepa, the winner of the first race of a new series of European Cup of VISEGRAD 4E Cup, which was held as a Grand Prix of Czech Republic on some parts of well-known Ardennes climbs of Liège-Bastogne-Liège monument. On the second position in the jersey of Rovis Specialized team, Jaromír Skala. Jaromír, congratulations for the second place. How difficult were the last kilometers? Were there any chances to get back to Vojtěch Řepa in the first position?
Thank you. Vojta attacked so hard, I cannot keep the pace of him. But for me it's a surprise because I'm in the winter preparation and I have no cycling training camp so far this year. So for me it's a great performance.
What was the most difficult part of today's race? Was it about keeping some power, some energy for the last kilometers?
Definitely. The last climb was the hardest. The Vojta attacked so hard and I don't keep them.
Do you have any way of how to prepare for this kind of virtual races? How to keep yourself cool and not overheated?
You have to be in the cool room. You have to drink a lot. I drank 2 bottles for 1 hour, so it's quite a big large of water.
Thank you, Jaromír, and congratulations for the second place. And we can also ask Pavel Bernas, a Polish rider. So, Pavel, for you, in general, how was today's experience of virtual racing?
Once again, please.
In general, how was for you today's experience with virtual racing?
It's really nice. It's something different that I've done before, but yeah, I pretty much got the feeling in the second part of the race how you should ride to save the energy and to really be able to fight for the win. But yeah, it's a nice thing to be in the, let's say, in the real world, in the virtual world. So yeah, just some things you need to catch up as with every, every software you're working with, and yeah, real nice. I'm really tired, and that was definitely a good training session for me.
And during off-season, during winter, do you often spend a lot of hours on trainers, or do you prefer to make some other sports, or you even ride outside when the weather is not okay?
This year, because of the cyclocross season, I was really a lot outside, because even if the weather was really bad, I was trying to get the feeling of the bike in all kind of surfaces. So when it was wet, I needed to also check it, let's say. But normally, yeah, if the weather is really unrideable and I have to do some efforts, then I will choose always the virtual reality, because yeah, that's the proper training you can do.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the first race of a new series, VISEGRAD 4E, is over. We had the best riders in the finish, and Martin, we were watching, exciting racing in very demanding terrain.
Absolutely, and I'm excited to watch the next one, which will be Imola, which will be a little shorter, but still 500 meters of elevation gain and very steep climbs too. I mean, everyone who was watching World Championships in Imola kind of remembers what Julien Alaphilippe did to everyone, and it's comparable to this race in terms of how demanding it will be. Hopefully, we will see so many competitors battling for the win and make it interesting for us viewers.
And we can speak right now with other of Czech riders who was riding right here in offices of Rowe in Prague, Milan Kadlec Jr. So Milan, what's your first impressions from your today's effort from this race?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a little higher, but I think it is very hard today.
Did you manage to keep some energy for the last 100 meters or last kilometers of race?
Yeah, when I lost the slips group, I stopped pedaling and go easy spin to finish.
Thank you, Milan. Thank you. So we'll remind you that the winner of the first race of new series VISEGRAD 4E Cup is Wojciech Řepa from team Equipo Kern Pharma, who managed to distance all of his rivals in the last kilometers. And we can also talk with triple Slovakian time trial national champion Marek Čanecký. So Marek, did you use some of your time trialing abilities today in this virtual race?
Yeah, it was really tough race. My first race, so I from the start was really fast. I maybe didn't react on the start well, but it was really nice race. Congratulate to winner, and I'm happy I can try this racing on Ruby.
And did you get immediately after the start into the racing mode, although it's only virtual racing?
Yeah. I was sprinting to get good position, and then I was trying to hold my best from the.
Okay.
It was hard for me.
Thank you, Marek. Thank you very much. So this was the first race of new series VISEGRAD 4E Cup. And it will conclude in 2 weeks' time in Grand Prix Slovakia. And as we already mentioned, it will be raced on the final circuit of 2020 World Championships that were held in Imola and that were won in the men category by Julien Alaphilippe. And that was really exciting race to watch. So we're hoping the same will be in the 2 weeks' time for the second race of this series.
Not only, right? Then we have another very special course. We have time trial of Tour de France, which will be as Grand Prix Grand Prix of Poland, right? Then we have Hungarian race, which will be held on very special course too. So we have something to look forward to.
And the first race was won by Wojciech Řepa with advantage of 5.5 seconds on Jaromír Skála. Third place also for the Czech rider Jiří Petr from team Salomond Sund. He lost 18 seconds on Wojciech Řepa in today's almost 40 kilometers long race. The best rider from Slovakia, Lukáš Vranák, on fourth position, who trailed more than 27 seconds on Wojciech Řepa. Luke, a Czech rider from team Vinohradské Šlapky, was in the fifth position, and Simon Hahnenbruch, the best rider from Germany, was in the sixth position, 28 seconds behind the winner of today's race. And we can also remind you that the best three results from the four races of this series will be taken to account in the overall classification. So we will also have, after the Grand Prix of Hungary, the overall winner of each classification, depending on age, men plus under 23, junior, and also women plus junior, also, of course, hobby races, who will take part in at least 3 races of this new series. So in the top 10, we have another Slovakian rider, Martin Hrtánek, in 9th position. In 7th position, French rider Raf. And in the 8th position, Pavel Bernas, with whom we were talking several times during today's race. The gap of the 10 rider, Karel Sousek, was more than 2 minutes on the winner of today's race. So thank you very much for following the first live coverage of the race number 1 of today's this year new series. We remind you that the second one will be Grand Prix of Slovakia on January 25th. After another 3-week breaks, there will be Grand Prix of Poland on February 15, and the concluding race will be Grand Prix of Hungary on 8th March, which will be race of another very interesting route, which will be in the Pyrenees on Col de Bisque. Martin, thank you very much for today's.
Thank you very much.
Following today's live coverage. And of course, good luck for everybody who took part in today's race and test their strength against the pro riders. Thank you very much, and good luck, and see you in the second race of this series. Bye-bye.